All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. Today, we're completely dismantling that groan-inducing mandatory corporate team building. You know the exact ones I'm talking about, right? The awkward trust falls, the stale donuts sitting in some fluorescent lit conference room. Yeah, we're skipping all that. Instead, we're unpacking a playbook of high-energy games that people actually beg to play. And I gotta tell you, as I was digging through these strategies, I was genuinely amazed by what actually gets teams laughing, bonding, and working better together when they aren't, forced into it. Okay, let's dive into this because right off the bat, we have the absolute ultimate litmus test for any team building activity. Ask yourself this: would your team play this on a Friday afternoon if attendance was totally optional? Honestly, if the answer is no, you're already fighting a losing battle. Most traditional team building fails this test instantly, mostly because it feels like an obligation, not a break. We all know the forced fun model. You've probably lived it. Rigidly scripted icebreakers where you have to share some uncomfortably personal fun fact, trust falls with coworkers you barely even know, and mandatory attendance that honestly just breeds resentment. But compare that to the energy-first approach. This is all about friendly competition, genuine laughter, and keeping attendance completely optional. Because the absolute truth is, nobody bonds while they're resenting the activity. You gotta lead with energy if you want genuine buy-in. If you need hard proof that the old way is totally broken, just listen to this massive number from Gallup's workplace research. 71%. Literally, 71% of employees feel that past team building exercises actually felt forced. I mean, that completely defeats the purpose. That grim statistic is exactly the problem the energy first approach solves. We want to completely eliminate that dreadful feeling of forced corporate fun. But when you get it right, it's not just about having a few laughs to kill time, it directly impacts your bottom line. Get this, highly engaged teams are actually 23% more profitable. So fun isn't just some soft business metric, right? Think about it. When you're laughing over a ridiculously silly game, job titles completely disappear. The intern and the VP are on a level playing field. That shared laughter drops the hierarchy and builds this underlying trust that makes hard, stressful conversations so much easier when Monday morning rolls around. It drives real, tangible productivity. So here's the playbook structure we'll use today to navigate through these curated games. First, why energy first wins. Second, loud games and creative chaos. Third, hands-on and high adrenaline. Fourth, quick energizers and remote play. And finally, how to run a game. All right, let's start with section 1. Why energy first wins. Looking at the psychology of fun. So the crucial point to understand here is the sweet spot of difficulty. You want a game where success feels achievable, but absolutely not guaranteed, and where failure is funny rather than embarrassing. If an activity is too easy, people just check out, right? They're on their phones. If it's too hard, frustration replaces fun and everyone gets tense. But when the challenge is just tricky enough and failing at it just makes everyone burst into laughter, well, that's how you build trust without the tension. Moving right along into section 2, loud games and creative chaos, diving into those high buy-in formats. Let's break down a fantastic game called Coworker Feud. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes, works for groups anywhere from 8 to 60 people, and brings massive energy using just a simple survey and some buzzers. The secret sauce here is surveying your own team in advance with light questions, like name something people do in their first 5 minutes online. When 3 people excitedly buzz in and yell "chick slack for gossip," you instantly have an inside joke. It turns the whole room into this hilarious, high-stakes game show where the team itself is the subject matter. And there are just so many other ways to spark that creative chaos. Imagine reverse charades, where the entire team is desperately acting out a word while one totally confused manager tries to guess. Nobody is put on the spot alone, which completely removes the performance anxiety. Or consider the commercial break. Picture your quietest engineer passionately pitching a standard desk stapler like it's a luxury sports car, complete with an improvised jingle. Or, host the fake award show, handing out totally daft trophies for things like most chaotic desktop background. Making something ridiculous together produces inside jokes that'll outlast the event by months, for sure. Okay, let's transition over to section 3, hands-on and high adrenaline, focusing on physical team goals. Meet the Helium Stick Challenge. For this, you need 20 to 30 minutes, 8 to 12 people, and just one thin, super light rod. The premise sounds almost insultingly simple. The team lines up in 2 rows, facing each other. They rest the rod on their outstretched index fingers and simply try to lower it to the floor together without anyone losing contact with the stick. I mean, it sounds like it should take about 5 seconds, right?
Now, what's absolutely fascinating here is the twist, because human nature totally takes over, and instead of going down, the stick mysteriously floats up. Everyone is trying so hard not to drop their end that they put a tiny bit of upward pressure on it, which causes the whole thing to rise. It's a hilarious paradox of human behavior. The debrief for this game is absolute gold, because it reveals exactly what happens in the workplace when everyone individually tries to help without stepping back, aligning, and communicating a clear strategy first. Another brilliant classic is the Marshmallow Challenge. Teams of 4 get exactly 18 minutes, 20 sticks of spaghetti, some tape, string, and one marshmallow to build the tallest freestanding tower. The incredible aha moment here? Teams who slap together ugly prototypes early and actually test their structure consistently beat the teams who spend 17 minutes drawing up this brilliant architectural plan, only to watch their untested tower sag and completely collapse at the final buzzer. It's just a fantastic, hands-on lesson in the power of iteration. Now, for a higher adrenaline rush, you can take the team completely outside the conference room. Think of an amazing race-style scavenger hunt across the city, where teams have to grab photo evidence of specific landmarks, or even locking them in an escape room to solve puzzles under a strict time limit. You could even create an office obstacle course where the floor is lava. I know, it sounds a bit childish, until you see highly paid professionals desperately trying to cross a conference room using only swivel chairs and sofa cushions because the clock is ticking. These active, high-pressure games authentically reveal how teams genuinely divide work, plan, and recover together when things go sideways. Moving into Section 4, quick energizers and remote play. We're talking zero setup resets. If you just need a really quick energizer to reset a room before a marathon meeting, you have a lot of great 60-second options. Two Truths and a Lie is a super reliable classic to learn surprising facts about each other. Human Bingo gets a room up and mingling fast to find people who match specific traits. Then there's Trainwreck. This is a high-energy, musical chairs-style game that instantly wakes people up. And 30 Circles challenges people to flex their creativity by turning a sheet of blank circles into recognizable objects like a clock or a pizza in under a minute. Taking just a minute or two for these instant warm-ups really democratizes participation, and it helps everyone drop that corporate hierarchy before diving into the heavy work. I gotta say, I found this next idea absolutely brilliant. What about remote teams, right? Play doesn't have to feel forced just because you're staring at a screen. Try the weirdest mug show and tell. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes for a group of up to 25 on a video call. Everyone just brings their strangest or most sentimental coffee mug and shares its chaotic backstory. Turns out, everyday objects on our desks are sneakily personal. They spark exactly the kind of casual warm chatter and spontaneous tangents that remote work so often totally erases. Some other standout remote activities include a virtual game show using platforms like Kahoot with a live leaderboard. You can run an online escape room where teams have to share screens and talk through browser-based puzzles together. Or Scribble, which is essentially just online Pictionary. Instead of those forced let's all go around and share a fun fact rounds on Zoom that everyone secretly dreads, these activities bring genuine stakes and hilarious trash talk to virtual calls. They actually get people leaning in and chatting. Finally, that brings us to Section 5. How to run a game using a foolproof framework. These are your golden rules, the foundational habits that separate a game people genuinely love from one that just elicits more eye rolls. Number 1, lead with energy, not obligation. Your enthusiasm is totally contagious. Number 2, keep it voluntary, because as we learned, forced fun is the absolute worst kind of fun. 3, tune the difficulty so it's winnable, but not guaranteed. 4, mind the calendar. Never, ever schedule mandatory fun on top of a brutal project deadline when your team is already stressed out. And 5, always debrief. Let's see how this all builds into an actionable 5-step rollout. First, read the room. If your team is naturally shy, don't start with reverse charades, right? Start with quick, low-stakes energizers. Once you know what fits, step 2 is to simply run one this week. Maybe just a simple 10-minute game at the top of a regular meeting. From there, step 3 is to build a monthly rhythm so it becomes a naturally expected, fun event rather than some random interruption. Step 4, rotate the host to bring in different energy and totally fresh game ideas. And finally, step 5 is to check the vibe after 6 months to see if your meetings genuinely feel more connected and collaborative. I really want to emphasize this critical takeaway regarding the debrief we mentioned earlier. The game itself is just the setup. The brief, 5-minute what does this say about how we work together conversation afterward, that is where the real value lands. It's not about how well you built a spaghetti tower, it's about noticing who took charge, who prototyped, and who stepped back.
That debrief is what turns a fun afternoon into a lasting, impactful team habit that actually improves your real-world workflows. So, looking at all the amazing options we've unpacked today, from quick 60-second energizers to all-out creative chaos, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Which game will you run this week? Grab one from the playbook, test it out, and watch your team's energy completely transform. Thanks so much for exploring this playbook with me today on This Explainer, and have fun out there.